Welcome to my channel, Bobo Stitch and Quilt. I'm Jessie. For all my returning folks, thanks. I really do appreciate you keep coming back, and for all the shout outs that I've gotten pretty recently, I really do appreciate that. And for those of you who are new, who came here because someone mentioned me in one of their videos or just happened to stumble upon me, welcome in. I hope that we'll have a good time for this little bit of time that we have together today. So this is a channel primarily about cross stitching. Every once in a while I throw in a quilt or two, but I usually will put that into a separate video when I actually do have one. I will have one. At one point in time this year, there will be a quilting video. So anyway, so how are y'all doing? Doing all right? Today is Sunday, May 2nd. I am one day late than my original plan, which was to film for May, because apparently something's happening in May. I don't know what's happening in May. But I borrowed a day from May for a very good reason. So with that teaser, let's get going. Let's talk about some stitching. I actually have a lot of notes today. Like, I actually wrote it out. It's on here, so that way I can just tell you and not be like, I don't know what's going on. So if you watched my 24 hours of cross stitch video, some of this is going to be a little repetitive because that's pretty much all I did. And so if you didn't watch it, I'm going to still talk about what I've done in the past couple of weeks, but if you did watch it, my apologies for any repetitive content. It won't be as long. Like, I'm not going to do another hour long recap of 24-hour cross stitch. But since my last video, I basically worked on the projects I worked on during the 24 hours of cross stitch marathon, which was this past weekend. And for those of you who may not be aware, that is a project or an idea that came out of Jen Lee, Quirks and Stitches on Instagram. And every Facebook group I talk about in my videos, all the projects and everything, going to be down in the notes below. But she does a quarterly 24-hour cross stitch event, and really the idea behind it is to stitch for 24 hours, and you can be either team awake. I guess that's what it is. I don't do the all-nighters. I don't do the 24-hour straight thing. I'm old. I like sleep. Even when I was young, I liked sleep. So I think I would always, although I could have done it. I could have done the full 24 hours when I was a kid. I could do it now if I really wanted to, being honest. But anyways, I'm team sleep, and so my goal is to do 24 hours of stitching over the course of the 3 days, and which is 8 hours a day, which you think is not too bad, but really, it's not that easy. Like, when you're living life, right? You gotta run errands, you gotta cook dinner, and mine was dedicated stitching. Like I had my phone out and I had the clock out, and I was like, let's do it. I had a timer running, and this time what I did was that I used the marathon planning pages that Jen Lee has in her cross stitch planner, and I basically I would run a clock for an hour. I would work on just a project for that hour wherever I was at the end. If I was shifting projects, I would stop and calculate my stitches at that point in time and stuff like that. And so that's kind of basically what I ended up doing. And so and the rest of the time, the last 2 weeks, I had a fever finish. So I worked on one project because that's right, I gotta finish. I have a fever finish, and so that's basically it. So what did I work on? So the big one was the return, actually the official 2021 start of Sailor Moon Squad. I actually hadn't worked on it at all this year, and I am planning on editing this video, so all being well, there's a picture somewhere here on what Sailor Moon Squad looks like. But the Sailor Moon Squad is my declared large piece or full coverage piece for Magical Stitches, and so I have not started on it at all to do my 7,000 stitches in it, but over the weekend I ended up working on it for 11 hours, and I put in 1,415 stitches, and so this is what Sailor Moon Squad looks like right now. So if you are not familiar with Sailor Moon, this is Sailor Venus, and so her colors are orangey yellow type of a thing, and so I feel like you can start seeing this is her hair, right? That's coming up right here, and that is probably the shape of the tiara. So um, I will say that I think I'm starting to kind of after after 11 hours, you'd think I would have a hang on how to handle it. And so I do use, obviously it's on a Q-snap. I do use a floor frame for my bigger pieces. I usually hold my Q-snaps, but on these big pieces, I do use my floor frame. I have a K's creation that I've had forever, like at least 15 years, if not longer. Pretty sure I bought it when I was like in my early 20s, and so like it has the handlebars, not the knobs and stuff like that. Like I'm not even sure the attachments. There's new attachments. There's one for a tablet now that I saw that I thought, oh, I should go ahead and get that. um I'm not even sure it's gonna fit. So anyways, it's but and so I do two-handed stitching on my bigger pieces. And once I was wearing my magnifier glasses, which I do a review of in the first part of that 24-hour cross stitch video. So if you're interested in that, go check out that video. But and I think that made a big difference in my ability to work on it. So because this is my first time doing something with a stitch count that high. So so I am doing this on 25 count even weave. And I'm doing it 1/1 with the call for DMC, obviously, because full coverage. Anyways, that's where we are. Really happy with that. The next thing I worked on was The Tree of Magic by Barbara Anna. And I ended up working on that for a total of 6 hours, and I put in 636 stitches into that. And I got the kit from Nika in Moscow, and her Instagram is Nika Moscow, Nika.Moscow. And it is an exclusive kit to her. I do not know, honestly, whether or not she has any more in stock. But you can it's really easy to order from her. You just send her an Instagram direct message letting her know. She sends you a PayPal invoice, and then it gets sent. I've never had any. I've ordered more than one thing from Russia, and there was one. My package from Alfor's Embroidery had a delay, but pretty much I've never had a problem with anything coming in from Russia. So, but this is a kit from Barbara Anna for the Tree of Magic, and it is on 32 count even weave, 28 count. I never remember with the Tree of Magic what size the fabric is. Excuse me while I give you this excellent content of me flipping through my planner. It's a 32 count even weave, and I'm doing it 2/2 with the kit provided DMC. So here it is. Still working on my camera angles there. So there it is. And basically what I did was I completed that second branch is what I ended up accomplishing. And that's it. I love Barbara Anna. She is really one of my favorites. And there were several bigger than me Flosstubers who were doing Barbara Anna's April, and so I joined in on that as part of my 24-hour cross stitch. I was like, I'll go ahead and do Barbara Anna, and I love it. I really want to keep working on this. I don't know when it's going to come back in the next couple of months, but the super cute. She's a genius. It's only 9 colors total. Like she does all that, and it's like 9 colors. So, but I always really like her pieces, and and one of the things I find really intriguing about Barbara Anna is that she does like a similar piece designed differently. And so if you see like Dreaming Girl Sal was one of the ones that just came out, and of course then she ended up doing Dreaming of Frida, and then there was I Dream of Clint, I think, and now there is going to be the Garden dream I Dream of Gardens or something, and so like she adapts patterns so that way they're different, they appeal to different people. And so if you like her design but you're like, oh, I don't know if that's the thing I would be a dreaming girl of, there's going to be something else. And that's going to be in line. And so or you can do all of them and then you have like a series. And so I really do love that about Barbariana's designs. And they're so easy to stitch. They're almost always, there's no specialty stitches. They're easy to count. They're big blocks of color. So anyways, so that is Tree of Magic. And then I only worked on one more other project, and it's my finish. So it is Frank Lloyd's Wright office window is what I worked on. And I did have a kit from Heartland Designs is where I purchased it from. And it was 28 count even weave. And I used the called for, and kit included DMC and Krynic. And during 24 hours of cross stitch, I did finish the X's. So I did 748 stitches of that in 7 hours is what I did. And over the past week, and I borrowed a day from May, I have a finish. Here we go. Look at that. So maybe don't look at too close. But there we go. That is my finish for Frank Lloyd Wright's office window. I'm so happy with it. So I don't backstitch the way you're supposed to backstitch. I've always been kind of not stingy with my floss when I buy the DMC or when I'm buying the floss because I know I can replace it, right? But when I know I can't, when I was younger, I had a bad run of kits where I ran out of floss. And so ever since then, it doesn't really matter. I am super stingy with the floss. Like I try really hard to get the absolute maximum number of stitches I can get out of it because I remember that one time where I ran out of floss and there was nothing I could do. Like they weren't DMCs. They weren't I didn't know how to fix it. I was a young stitcher enough that I didn't have the problem solving skills, I guess, at that time to figure out how to solve it. The only store that I knew of that did had any kind of cross stitch stuff was a Michael's and a Joann's, and I didn't know about needlework shops and stuff like that. So, but it traumatized me. Like I have like some weird aversion to kits and running out of floss. And so anytime I get a kit, I'm always like, let's do what I can, make sure I save as much floss as I can. So, and I thought that maybe that because I stitched that way that my back stitching wasn't going to come out as good. But I think from a distance, and that's really what I think you have to look at, right? Is because no one's going to come into piece and look at that like that, right? Like no one's like, some people may be like, oh, what's happening there? But for the most part, right? It's going to be hanging on a wall, or depending on how you finish it, right? And it's going to be what it's going to look like from a distance. It's kind of how it's like for quilting, it's the galloping horse rule, right? If you're on a horse galloping by, what are you going to see? Are you going to notice that piecing mistake or whatever? And most of the time you're not. So don't worry about it. Let it go. So anyways, but I'm really super happy with it. So I have a finish. This is finish number 2 for 2021. I have an ambitious goal to have 12 finishes. I don't do small pieces. They're always medium to large pieces. And so I figure if I can get an average of 1 finish a month, it's a pretty good result, especially since I tend to focus on full coverage pieces. And so that's anyways. This is, just has kind of a weird note. My husband and I, we go do, every few years we go do a Frank Lloyd Wright tour. And so this was something that I purchased when we went to Grey Cliff, which is outside of Buffalo. And that home is currently under renovation. So I don't know if it's the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation or if it's a separate foundation just for Grey Cliff, but that is that's where I purchased it. But it is a kit from Heartland Designs. I can't figure out if Heartland Designs is shuttered or not. their website no longer works, and when I try to Google it, I can't find the actual company anywhere. To be fair, I probably only go just one page of results. Like, I'm not like being investigative and really trying to find it, but I can find patterns everywhere. Like, they're easily found. Um, Whether or not you find the kit is a different story. I can find the patterns everywhere. So they're so the pattern is definitely accessible. Again, DMC and Kreinik. But that being said, if you do happen to get the kit and you were like me and traumatized at one point in time about running out of floss, I'm going to let you know that the Heartland Design kits give you plenty of floss. So this is my remaining, so it was three colors. So this is my remaining floss. I obviously made little drops out of it, but like there's like honestly like 4 or 5 strands, like actual 6 strands of the drops remaining for each one. Like this one's 3, that one's 3, that one's 2. So okay, that's not 4 or 5, 2 to 3, which honestly that's plenty, right? And for the Kreinik, they gave me 2 spools. I have one completely brand new spool. I still have some left over on that one. So if you happen to get a kit, one, no, it's DMC and Kreinik, so you can replace it if you end up running out of floss. But 2, plenty of floss. Honestly, and except for the fact that I was using Kreinik, that's also a really good beginner pattern. Has Frank Lloyd Wright, right? He's very symmetrical, very blocky. Anyways, so that's it. That's all the stitching I did because I had that fever finish, and except for 24 Hour Fitness, the rest of the time I worked on Frank Lloyd Wright's house. I don't have my hours and stuff like that for it. But this is what I learned from 24 Hour Fitness cross stitch, because I actually tracked my stitches and my hours. So I apparently stitch at a rate of a little over 100 stitches in an hour, right? So 636 in 6 hours, 748 in 7 hours. Now I did do 14, 15 in 11 hours for the Sailor Moon squad, and I think that extra speed was because I was doing two-handed stitching. So yeah, that's it on the cross stitching. So next up on my list of things to chat about was that last time I talked about representation Flosstubers, and I want to thank everybody for sending me some recommendations. Please continue to send them. I really do think that it matters. I think it is a I think it's important to see other people. Like I think it's important not only to stitch patterns that honor other cultures and heritages and things, and to support businesses owned by people of color and diversity. But I also think that it's also about making sure that it's more than just being an ally. It's also coming in and doing the work of being anti-racist and breaking the systematic unknown biases that we have for ourselves, right? Like we don't even realize that we're doing it. And I really do believe, I'm going to sound like Anne Frank a little bit, but I do believe this. I think that people are good people. I think people want to be good people. And I don't think that they realize that what they do may not be, right? I was thinking about an incident that happened at work this week. And I won't go into it. But there was a component to it that I was just like, this isn't a person who thinks that they, like if I was to say what you did was racist, they would be like, no, it wasn't. But there was a layer to it that is. And this is not, and it's not a person who you would believe, right? Like they hold very particular points of view in politics and everything that if you were to say that to them, they're like, no, I support this, and this, right? But yet the behavior was. So I don't think this is a bad person at all. I think that this is a person who wants to do right by the world and do right by people, just didn't realize that what they did had a layer of racism in there. I think of like the situation involving the talk. I don't know how much of this the my non-American viewers may be aware of. You're not international. You're home wherever you are. But my non-American or U.S. Viewers may know about the situation involving Sharon Osbourne and the talk. And, like, do I think that Sharon Osbourne is a racist? I don't know. I don't know her, right? Like, I don't work with her. I don't live with her. I have no idea. But I watched that episode of The Talk where the whole thing went down and ultimately resulted in her leaving the show. And I don't think she realized that what she was saying and doing was racist. And I think she was in such a space that she couldn't hear when people were saying, well, what you are doing is racist, because she just didn't have the frame of mind to recognize that it was. So anyways, I'm babbling too much about that. So that being said, there were two people that I actually do watch and subscribe to that I forgot to mention last time. And so what I'm going to try to do is that as I add people, so everyone please continue to send me your comments of viewers that are of Flosstubers or even Instagram accounts that you think, hey, let's elevate these voices because they should have their voices elevated. I'm going to go ahead and I'm thinking about maybe creating a Google Doc or something like that where people can always easily find it, and I'll just always have it in my notes. But I don't know if I'll have that for today's video, but that's a plan that I'm going to have. But I did forget Thread the Needle, and so this is a lovely cross-stitcher out of Canada. She does all full coverage pieces, beautiful work. Oh my gosh, and she stitches so fast. Like, I'm just like, what? Like, how are you getting so much done in such a short amount of time? Like, I'm like, I do 100 stitches an hour. Like, that's it, right? Like, how is anyone like people who finishes full coverage pieces in a year? What? Anyways, but she does beautiful, beautiful work, and a lot of hates, but not only hates. And then, of course, I think a lot of people already follow her, but Almost Little Wonders, and she does a video both in English and in Spanish in a huge diversity of projects that she does, and from nerdy to traditional. Really enjoy her. She's really super cute, and so those are people I think everyone is already watching. But if you're not watching them, go check them out. Another Flosstuber that's not really about the diversity part of it, but it's a good Flosstuber. I watch her, but I don't know if you've been following on Instagram, but there's definitely been a campaign to help Flosstubers who have under 1,000 subscribers to get them to over 1,000. Well, one of those channels is Carrie in Stitches, and she is super close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. I think when I checked this morning, she was at 987 subscribers. So if you're not already watching her and you're interested in, go check her out. Go check out a couple of videos, and if you like her, give her a subscribe. Or heck, just go ahead and give her a subscribe. And make sure that you see her when you click on your subscription things, because I do enjoy her videos. So anyway, so those are my Flosstube follow-ups. I'm gonna try not to spend like 20 minutes on Flosstube every video, but I do want to have at least 2 to 3 Flosstubers that I want to shout out. So I am still watching everybody's I've watched a handful of the ones that got recommended, and I'm going to maintain that list and get it up there. All right, let's talk about some haul. All right. I have a couple of things that I can't really show you because I don't have them in paper in front of me. So I got 2 patterns this since the last video. And the first one is, and I'm going to stick them up here because I only have them as digital planners. Oh, actually, the first one. The second one, I'm not going to show you a digital planner because it's only just a cross stitch. But the first thing I got was the Pew Pew motherfuckers. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know what it was. I saw this recently in something, and I'm like, I must stitch that. So I went ahead and I went and looked for it. I did try. I tried really hard to figure out if it was just like a meme that just seems to be part of the public, like has unintentionally or has been knowingly given out to the public domain. I can't find the original artist to make sure that it's a licensed piece. I'm hoping that it is effectively, because it's a meme, public domain effectively, and that we're not doing wrong by the original artist for it. But I did look, and I do see it everywhere. Like, it's in a lot of things different companies. So I'm hoping that I'm not doing wrong by the artist. If you happen to know that I am, please let me know, and I will be sure to stop referring to the shop and everything like that. But because I can't figure it out, I'm going to assume that everything is on the up and up. So the store that I got it from is Oh Wow Stitch on Etsy. And so I will go ahead and link them below unless someone comments and lets me know that we are in copyright violation. And if we are in copyright violation, I'll remove the link. And I doubt I'll edit this video after it's been uploaded to Flosstube, but yeah, so it's super fun. I don't know why. I think the pew pews what got me. So my husband's name is James and I'm Jesse, right? So we're Jesse James, and so our couple's name is the Outlaws, actually. So unless you're a Pokemon fan, then we're Team Rocket. But but we call ourselves, when we sign things and Christmas cards, we're like the Outlaws, and then we always write off the side, pew pew. And so I saw that and I was just like, how can I not get it? It's a thing. It's cute. It's funny. It's snarky. So anyway, so I got that. And then I kind of had this thought in my head, which was thinking about like anime and things that I grew up with and stuff. So the next pattern I got is a free pattern, and but I only have to cross stitch, and it does say to not reproduce it and to not. And so because of that, because I'm not going to show you the pattern, even though it is a free pattern, but when I was a kid, before we moved to the States, I remember watching a show about a cat. And I remember being like, oh, and I see it every once in a while, right, around, because it's very popular. I don't ever remember watching it after moving to the States, and I was 7 when we moved here. And so I thought it was about a cat, but it really is actually a robot cat. So this is Doraemon. So I do actually have like a little it's a washcloth, like it's supposed to be to put into lunch bags as a wipe. But so I have these. I've had these for years. And so the pattern is of Doraemon, of the little robot cat. When I was a kid, I just thought it was a cat. I didn't realize it was a robot. And I've been trying to find places where I can watch it. Who knows if as an adult I would find it entertaining. But I remember this, and I remember being so happy when I watched those cartoons. And made me a little sad to think about it. So I'm trying to capture my childhood. So anyway, so I found a little pattern for Doraemon. And it's just a little body of him. It's obviously not this. And so I'm looking forward to doing that and starting that. And maybe it is a small, I don't know. We know that I don't really pay attention to stitch sizes and stuff like that. Next up in my haul is my fabric. I now belong to 2 Fabric of the Month clubs. So I belong to the one for Rogue Stitching, and that one is a diversity of different fabric lines and different colors, from neutrals to brights and everything. And so I went ahead and joined that one at the beginning of the year. And I know some people have had some issues with Rogue Stitching. Just call them or email them. They are pretty responsive. They are dealing with various issues, and they're trying. So anyways, but I did get this April's Fabric of the Month, and here it is. It's this beautiful kind of gray kind of color. That's pretty accurate, I'm gonna say. It may be slightly darker in real life, but it is pretty accurate. And so this is by Atomic Ranch Fabrics, which I've never heard of. Am I just like behind the block? Like, am I running behind the scenes? Like, I don't know. I don't recognize the fabric, but the color is called Coat of Doves. Am I pronouncing that right? Coat, C-O-T-E. If I'm not, let me know. But it's really pretty. I really like it. So, and I get all of my fabrics on 32 count Lugana. So that's ooh. screen just went blank on me. I hope that didn't come across. I don't know what happened there. Too long. I just have to, I guess I need to move my mouse a little bit before my camera goes to sleep. Anyway, so there we are on that. And I've been on the waiting list for Color and Cotton's Fabric of the Month Club for quite a while. At least a year, I feel like. It's been a long time. But they announced recently that they had some space in even weave. Guess what? I prefer to stitch on even weave. So yay! I originally thought that I had wanted to do because I was already in even weave for Rogue Stitches. I was going to be getting the linen in Color and Cotton whenever I did get on it. But since even weave is available, I went ahead and just got onto the even weave bandwagon. And there, so I got this month's fabric, and so here it is. Okay, that's actually washed out a little bit, so it's not that light. It's definitely a darker mustardy kind of, not mustardy because it's called spice honey. It's more of a honey kind of color, so it is a little darker. But I am in the neutrals. I didn't pick the whatever colors. I did pick neutrals because I was getting various colors from Rogue Stitching. I wanted to have a stash of neutrals that I could pull from, and it's really very lovely, and I'm looking forward to thinking of a project I can put on it. I really like it. So those are my 2 fabric purchases. I also got 2 project bags from the 805 Stitcher, and the first one is this one. It's right? It's an embroidery cross-stitching fabric. How can you not get that? And so there it is. And then the inside is I know the vinyl reflects, but there's the scissors on the fabric there. And what the 805 Stitcher does is that she also creates a matching needle minder. So there is the oh goodness. This is fun, watching me try to focus it. Ah, there goes the needle minder there. This is my second time making a video with this camera. It's going to take me a minute to figure it out. I do like it. It makes my editing process and video process much easier because I'm now recording directly onto my computer, not on my phone. But it's taking a minute for me to figure it out. And then my second one, I thought this was the cutest thing. This cutest fabric is this little geisha kind of fabric, and then you got your little raccoon cat there, and so the inside, sushi. How can you not get that? And the matching needle minder is of that little cat raccoon. Come on, I'm gonna figure it out. You just have to. There it goes. So super cute. I love these bags. They're good quality bags. They, I use I do 8x10 Q snaps. It's not big enough for me to be able to put a project in there easily. It can fit if I gingerly get it in there. So I do, but as I said before, I take everything off the Q snaps for the most part when I store my projects, and so it's fine. I do like them. All right, plans. It's my something's happening in May, I think, right? All right, so I do belong to the Facebook group for Stitch Mania, and if you're in the cross-stitching world, I'm sure you're already aware because so many of the Flosstubers that are talking about their Stitch Mania plans have mentioned that Katie and Garrett are going to be shuttering the Facebook group for Stitch Mania at the end of this month, and for their reasons that, of course, they can have, right? Not everyone needs to dedicate 100% of their time to their hobby. So they have decided to shutter the group at the end of this month. And so a lot of people are going to be participating in Stitch Mania this May. I am not. So I am a progress stitcher as opposed to a process stitcher. So while I do enjoy the process and I find it very relaxing, that's why I am a cross stitcher of cross stitching. For me, I am motivated by seeing a plan come together. So I like seeing movement in the different projects that I have in hand. I currently have, I think now, with that finish for Frank Lloyd Wright, um, overall, I have, I think, 17 whips, works in progress, and which I feel like is a lot. And I like to kind of move things along. So I think it's a good variety for me to have, to be able to work on my various challenges groups that I'm in. So that way, and plus it allows me not to get bored because I don't work on just one or two projects. And so if I get tired of something, I just put it away and something else comes in. But because I am progress oriented, starting a lot of things where I know I'm not going to really be able to get to it um, does not sound like fun to me. And at the end of the day, it's my hobby. I'm going to stitch what I want when I want, and I want it to be fun. So I am doing my version of a Stitch Mania. So, and I do think that everyone has done their own thing, right? Lindy Stitches has done so she started a few years ago, a Stitch Sania, I think is what she calls it. A Stitch Sania, where you do a focus piece and you hit a goal over the course of the week. And if you do, then you do have a new start on the weekend, is what she does. And some people are doing Stitch Mania based on themes. I've seen several where it's like, we're going to start on animals. We're going to do, some people are doing a line. No, I just watched LinkedIn's My Homeboy yesterday, and she's going to be doing all frosted pumpkin starts. So everyone's kind of doing something different that kind of makes sense for them, and they're trying to honor Katie and Garrett and the work that they did for Stitch Mania, which, by the way, let me tell you, I feel like has done a lot for the cross-stitching community. Like, over the years and everything that they have done and the supporting of this community, like, they have brought together a lot of people, and they're great allies, and not just great allies, but like out doing the work folks. And so I do want to honor everything that they have done. Not only in terms of just cross stitching, but for the community as a whole. And so I appreciate that people want to honor them and do Stitch Mania this year. It's just not me. So I am going to be doing a monogamous May, or Monogamania, and which is what I did last year. And because we were in the middle of a pandemic, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a monogamous stitcher and focus on Cinderella until the pandemic's over. Ha ha ha. Pandemic's never going to end. I don't say that lightly. I'm really very mindful of what's happening in the rest of the world, and that there are people still getting sick. People are still dying. Get vaccinated if you can get vaccinated. Please do. It's science, right? Is it going to be perfect? We don't know. Are we going to need booster shots? Maybe. I get a flu shot every year. I don't complain about that, right? If I have to do this every year in order to keep people from dying, I'm cool with that. If I have to keep wearing a mask because they think it's still spreadable even after you had the vaccine, I'm cool with that. It's okay. Eventually, just like the flu, although the flu does kill people, so let's not diminish that. But that's my serious moment. But so last year I was like, I'm gonna be totally monogamous on Cinderella. I'm gonna work on it until we're back into work, thinking it was gonna be like 6 weeks to 2 months. No, it was not. And then at which point in time I was like, okay, that's silly. I'm gonna have to work on other things. And so, but I want to thank everybody for their feedback on Cinderella Wishes Upon a Dream, and the fact that I do have these water stains here from my big snowpocalypse water getting onto the project and kind of creating that stain. So my goal for Monogamania is to focus strictly on Cinderella. There is a hashtag that is not really a Sal, but one that's hosted by Rocio from Pocahontas, where if you are working on any of the Thomas Kincaid Disney pieces, which is Once Upon a TK Stitch, all that's going to be down below. If you want to follow my progress and other people's progress who are working on similar types of, not just Cinderella, but Lion King, Ariel, Little Mermaid, Peter Pan, like there's a whole slew of these kits out there, then that's how you can find them. And so my goal for for this month, which I think is pretty lofty, but I'm only going to be working on it every day, is to, so the pages, it's actually 4 pages, but it's really not. They're really 8 pages because they're basic 8.5 pages, right? They're just giant pages that are folded in half. And so even though it's 4 pages, because it's literally just 4 sheets of paper, I think of it as 8 because of the way how big the pattern is. So this right here is the markation of that fold. And so my goal is to finish that part. It's basically to finish a page in May. It's a lofty goal, but I think I can do it. So, but that's my plan. So this is the starting point. I'm also on Instagram at Bobo_Jessie C, which is where I will be posting my updates on a weekly basis, to show you my progress on this as we go. So happy to be bringing back Cinderella. So that is my one plan with an asterisk. So, and even though I had timed it out for a little bit because of the damage from the ice storm, it actually is my oldest whip. The No Face Knitting is my next oldest whip after that, but that is actually my oldest whip. And so basically I'm going to just oldest whip everything in Magical Stitches for the month of May. And unless by some miracle the weekend that I have my asterisk happens, that project can work. But I'm just going to meet my challenges with oldest whip stitches. And so, but I am also part of WhipGo, which is a Facebook group started by Jessie Marie Does Stuff. Is that right? Anyways, everything's below. And she did call the May numbers, and I do try to keep up with my WhipGo. And so in May, she did call the numbers 19 and 22. So here is my WhipGo. So you can see that I only have one that's been called that I have not met because I was waiting for fabric from Rogue Stitching to come in. So that one I will plan to catch up on after May in another month. But otherwise, I have stayed pretty true to meeting the goals. And by some amazing luck, Cinderella was called. So Cinderella was my number 19. So I'm going to work on my WhipGo. And the second project is my Hello series by Caterpillar Cross Stitch is the second one that was called. So obviously I'm going to meet that goal, no problem. My WhipGo is 10 hours on the project, the month it's called. And so, I don't do makeups and general like that typically is what I don't do. But obviously with my one that got called, I didn't have the fabric. It was going to be a new start. I'll catch up on that. But but it's Hello series. So I am also, with one exception, so I borrowed a day yesterday to finish Frank Lloyd Wright's window. So I took one day from May. But I'm going to work on Hello Pumpkin during WhipGo weekend, which I think is the second. It can't be, because then that's next weekend. And I feel like it's the following weekend. But whatever weekend WhipGo weekend is, which Jessie Marie does a really great little convincing people to do things, and whatever project you have or goal, you enter sweepstakes. But I'm not in it for the possible winning of the whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and work on Hello Pumpkin for the 10 hours during that weekend. And then once I hit my 10 hours, I'll go back to Cinderella. But this is kind of where, so I'm going to work on Hello Pumpkin on that WhipGo weekend as part of it. And 10 hours is not a lot of time, right? But in theory, I stitch about 100 stitches an hour. So I should put in 1,000 stitches, which I think, if I'm calculating right, I think I'll be able to finish the owl, which is going to go right there. So that's going to kind of be my plan, is to work on that owl. But that's my plans for May. So not very exciting. With that, I think, unless something weird happens and I just throw out all my plans, I'm not going to make another video for a month. I'm going to come back at the beginning of June to show you my ultimate progress on that, all my haul and everything, because I'm only going to, in theory, only have 2 projects to show you in that video at the beginning of June. So, I don't know. I don't know if I'm that entertaining to talk about things that's not Stitchy related. Oh goodness, it's already 45 minutes. See, I thought it wasn't going to be long. And I told my husband, I'm like, I'll be in there for like 20, 30 minutes. I don't have that much to talk about. Lies. I just babble. Actually, I think it's all Stitch related though. So, but that's everything that's kind of stitching related. I don't have any kind of real life updates. Work is busy. Next week, I'm going to a conference that's specifically for my type of work, for pro bono attorneys and also substantive law on serving low income communities. But is a conference that I always want to be able to go to every year. I don't always get to go to. This will be my second time going, and so it's virtual. So I think that might be a part of it. But like I want to go enough that I'm willing to pay for it in the future. Like if my company is not willing to, they're like, well, we need to put our resources someplace else. I'm like, well, can I go? Can I go on as work time, but I pay for it? Because I find it to be that valuable. So I'm really excited about that. So that's my work related update, but it's just been busy. We're anticipating evictions to be rising from COVID related evictions as those moratoriums get lifted, and plan to get lifted in the summer. So we're kind of anticipating and preparing for that. So be kind to people. There are a lot of people struggling out there. They may not have gotten COVID, but they may be impacted by it in terms of their work and their income, and they may know people. So it's so be kind to people. In July, I'm going to be going to not one, but 2 quilt retreats. That's why there will be a quilting video at some point in time. So we just planned it. So we have one group of people that are going that's really kind of our closer knit. I don't want to say, all my quilting friends are really good friends, but it's a different set of friends. And so we're going to be going to Fredericksburg, Texas. I think I'm going to be able to do that one. That one is tentative. That's a tentative one. But in Fredericksburg, Texas, which is a beautiful town in Texas. If you ever have a chance to visit it, it's well worthwhile. And I just happen to know this because I remember visiting it when I was there before. I haven't been to Fredericksburg in a long time, at least a decade, at least. I think law school was the last time I was in there, which would have been, 15 plus years ago. I graduated in 2002 from law school, so, right. It was 2 decades ago, but there is a really great little needle workshop. I remember shopping it, so I hope it's still there, and I'll be able to check it out when in July, if they're hopefully reopened by then, if they've shut their doors for COVID purposes, and so that one's happening in Fredericksburg. I think it's the same weekend as the next 24-hour cross stitch, so I may not be able to participate in that one, but who knows? It's a retreat. I can do what I want. Doesn't have to be quilting, right? So it's just a crafty retreat for my friends. And then the following weekend is going to be another one for my quilting bee, which is we used to meet every third Saturday for to in person to quilt. We couldn't do that during COVID, so everyone in my quilt bee is now fully vaccinated, and so because we are all fully vaccinated, we're like, let's go on a retreat. So we're going to be doing that. So 2 retreats in July. My husband and I don't have any other vacation plans. Everything we had planned got canceled or postponed to 22. So we're kind of like, well, might as well just do stuff, right? He's like, go ahead. He's taking some days off to play he's a gamer. And so has new seasons and new things start. He's just taking some days off to work on his game, to play his game. And so we're just kind of like, we're going to hobby up our vacations. And so that's it. That's my life update. Another long video. I guess I should stop pretending I can do short videos because apparently I don't. But I got some stuff in my carts right now, so there will be haul next time to show you. Hopefully I'll remember in the month between. But otherwise, in the meantime, I hope that whatever you are doing for May, that is something that you enjoy and that you're having a good time, and and I'll see you in a month. In the meantime, have a stitching good time. Take care, everyone. Bye.